All right. Hello, everybody. We wanted to make sure we had our attendees who signed up for the presentation get settled. Good afternoon. My name is Brian Wendroff. I'm the managing partner of Wendroff CPA. I also have our colleague with RAMP, Danny Moeller, who's going to be presenting on this really effective, useful tool, expense management tool called RAMP. I just want to do a couple administrative items, if you don't mind. We have, if you have any questions regarding this tool, please feel free to ask them in this. On the right hand side there should be a little question box that you can ask your questions, and then we can hopefully answer them in the meeting or afterwards if we can't at this time. And the other thing is we're going to record this session. It needs to be recorded, and we also attach the presentation if you need to reference it. Let me just speak really quickly about RAMP before Danny really shines and explains more in detail of what it's about. RAMP is an expense management software, and there is a handful of different expense management softwares out there. There is tools like just a credit card, getting a credit card to be able to use to have or incur expenses for you or your teammates. There are expense reimbursement softwares where your team or yourself can capture just pictures or receipts with your phone and then get reimbursed for those expenses that you're spending out of your own pocket to get reimbursed from your employer with your company. And then there's also other type of expense management software, such as like a bill pay software, where you can electronically pay your bills to your vendors via ACH or via a pre-printed check and get an approval process where someone like the executive or management team can approve that bill before it gets sent out. Well, I just talked to you about a whole bunch of different applications out there. Well, RAMP puts that all under one house, and that's what's great about it. It puts it all under one house, the whole expense side, the spend management side under this house. And then on top of that, it's layered with this ability, this tool is to be able to analyze how you're spending your money and be able to help you hopefully optimize that spend, and then help you make hopefully better, more informed decisions about where your money's going. And on top of that, it's a free tool. So not only is this such a great tool that could be useful, it could integrate with your accounting software, it's free. Can't beat free. So I'll have Danny speak more about RAMP, but I just wanted to get you kind of an overlay of what RAMP's about, and then Danny can speak about the inside of what it really does. Pass it to you, Danny, please.
Awesome, thanks. Hey everyone, my name is Danny Moeller. I'm a representative over here at Ramp. Really today what we're going to be discussing is how can Ramp help you save time and money. There's a number of cumbersome workflows and expenses and money going out the door, and having a really solid pulse on where your money's going helps you make more strategic decisions. So I'm going to hop in here and talk a little bit about what Ramp is and what we're solving for. So I think it's really important to understand the problem with today's current state expense management, reacting to expenses. We're going to talk about optimizing accounting workflows. We're going to demo the platform, and we are going to talk about what it looks like to start with Ramp. So let's hop in here. Legacy expense report process. What this looks like is you issue cards to employees, or maybe you just share one single card, one physical card, and you say, hey Danny, I need you to run and get this item, or hey Brian, can you purchase this this service or this product from Amazon. And there's all this back and forth, and you don't really know where your money's going until month end close or 15 days after month end, when you're reviewing a bank statement. So Ramp's goal is to get you this information in real time, rather than waiting on folks to submit this information, whether it's an Excel spreadsheet, an Expensify, like a Concur are some common ones, and you're waiting on people to submit this information. Ramp gives you this information in real time. So like we talked about, your business incurs expenses. That's how businesses operate. You have money going out the door. There's kind of this ironic piece to it, because you have a digital credit card or a debit card, then you're tasking somebody to have a physical receipt and then redigitize that physical receipt, and then you're passing it off to somebody else to review it. And there's so many different pieces in there where the information could be wrong, inputted inaccurately. You're tasking somebody else to review this, taking time out of their day. And so how can we streamline that? How can we get quicker, more accurate information in real time so that your businesses can start making strategic pivots throughout the course of the month, rather than 3 months after the fact? So, like Brian mentioned here, a traditional business operates out of a tech stack that looks like this. You might have an HR solution, and then you have corporate cards, and then you have expense management or a method of submitting receipts, and then you have bill pay, and then you're trying to get all this information to funnel into like an accounting solution, like a QuickBooks Online. There's a number of places where this can break, or let's say you as the business operator, you need to find information of who spent what where did we pay that vendor, what was that amount, where was that invoice, and you have to take the mental brain power to figure out where did that money come from, or where did it go. Ramp is a central hub for all of your business expenses outside of payroll. You can manage your cards, you can manage your employee reimbursements, you can manage your bill pay. Because we're this central hub, you have one location that you can log into and view where your money's going, who's spending what where. Did we spend more on advertising this month than the month previous? Did we spend, or did Brian spend more on his travel this month than he was supposed to? Ramp's giving you this insight in real time. So, accounting integrations. We integrate with QuickBooks Online. We offer corporate cards that you can control how and where employees can spend money. A lot of times folks are nervous about issuing more cards because they're nervous that their spend's going to go up. That's actually the opposite with Ramp. The more Ramp cards you use, the more control you have on your spend, and your spend will decrease. We offer accounts payable, we offer expense management, employee reimbursements, and we offer a travel booking tool. I'll highlight this screen just real briefly. Some folks may have never heard of Ramp before. We're no longer the new kid on the block. We've been around for over 5 years. We have some really large companies working with us. But the reason I stress this screen is we work with folks that have 1 to 2 users, or we work with folks that are massive enterprises. We can help you save time regardless of the size of your business. So we can help you automate, we can help you control, we can help get your information and your expenses to Brian and his team quicker so that they can continue adding value to your businesses from a strategic point of view.
Yeah,
On top of
I'll
that, oh, go
say
ahead.
something, Danny. We talk about speed. I mean, speed. The more, as I spoke about, this is one application. There's major functions of an organization. They have the revenue. You have money coming in. You have money going out. So even just divide those two things into divide them, and you're getting 50% of what you probably do is expenses. So being able to, of course, have this all in one house where you can analyze this information, analyze all these different transactions, whether it comes out of a credit card, or whether it's being paid from the bank, whether it's being reimbursed from your employees. Being able to manage this is going to be help you understand looking all these transactions, making decisions based on everything. And then you can imagine how AI and all these other tools are there to be able to look at this information and give you type of feedback based on looking at data. The more data it has, the more it's going to help you make decisions. And that's what Ramp focuses on and provides a valuable add-on, is knowing how to take all this information and then give you insight to help you again make better decisions.
Exactly. And the thing I'm most proud of on this screen are these two right statistics here. We've helped people save over $1 billion and 10 million hours saved across our client base. That is massive. Time is money. You did not start your business, or you're not working to do expenses and expense reports and go back and forth with employees to figure out where the receipt is. You have a mission at hand. You have a service or a product that you're providing. Ramp wants you to focus on that, and we'll handle the back end. So let's take a look at how this works. With Ramp, you can issue a corporate card to your employees. That employee swipes their card and receives a text that says, "Hey, Danny, I need a receipt and I need a memo." I can respond to that text message saying, "Here's my receipt and here's my memo." That information goes to my finance team, and my job is done as the employee. In 2024, I probably had close to like $50,000 worth of business expenses, and I don't think I spent more than 10 minutes total submitting that information to my finance team. Everybody probably has their phone in their pocket or on their desk right now. Ramp makes it so easy to submit this information that 90% of this information is submitted the same day this transaction occurs. So you're not chasing folks down for, "Hey, Brian, do you have a receipt for this transaction and I'm not sure what it was for? Can you send that to me?" Which then prevents businesses from closing their books and having accurate financials. So in short, we're giving you and your employees and your staff such an easy way to submit this information that people submit it that same day. And then there's also controls that we'll talk about once we get into the demo. So why does this matter? It's really important to understand the difference between expense management and spend management. Expense management is what a lot of folks are comfortable with and what they've done since online banking's been around. You have a bank statement. Once that bank statement is generated, then you review it and figure out what's happening. Spend management is the other side of that. Being intentional with your spend before it happens, controlling every dollar that goes out the door, and you kind of give it a role, saying, here's my marketing budget, here's my travel budget, here's my goods and services fund. And so you're being intentional with this spend. What that does, and just a tiny little personal anecdote here, recently got engaged, now we're planning a wedding. Weddings are expensive. And so if I want to save X amount of money and reach this goal of funding a wedding, I need to change my habits. I need to be intentional with my spend. That might mean less golf throughout the summer. That might mean less Chipotle. This is personal, right? But the same concept applies with businesses. If you have businesses goals and you're trying to scale and grow and accomplish goals, you need to start being intentional with your spend and have an idea of where your money's going rather than reacting to where that money has already gone. Anything to add there, Brian? Perfect. So might be on mute there, Brian, if you're saying
Yo, Dan,
anything.
sorry about that. I just want to chime in. Thank you for asking. We always think about, with accounting, it's like it's in time. Like an expense happens, we can record it and look at it. It happens when we work with our customers. But we also think about, like you just said, the intention of something. Like we can look at the past, and that's actually happened. But how do we look at the future? We talk to our customers when we think about the future and forecasting. We say, hey, you don't know what's going to happen in the future, but it doesn't mean that you can't try to predict. And then by that, you create that type of mindset. Like, you don't know where things are going to end up, but you can get close to it. And it's almost like a game when we have our customer, let's say, prepare a budget or a forecast. We tell them, hey, let's see where you're going to end up. Let's create more predictability with something that we know that we don't know what's going to happen, but try to get close to it. And I think the same thing what you said, the intention, the mindset, it's like a muscle. It's like you're creating this muscle of what you're doing and how you set this customized situations, like how much someone can spend or what type of vendors they can spend or how much money you're spending for a type of expense. That type of insight, that type of thought, that extra thought, and then add on the efficiency of it, that's powerful.
Absolutely. And so if you're proactive in nature, if you go into a month and you say, okay, this month we should spend $5,000 on marketing. This month we should spend $2,000 on travel. You can set those limits and those controls within Ramp so that you can't spend more than that. Right now, if you're operating out of expense management and you have a bank feed that you're trying to reconcile and react to, there's nothing stopping folks from overspending in certain departments. And then you're just kind of behind the eight ball saying, oh, darn, I wish we wouldn't have spent that, but too late. So now we have to course correct in the future and et cetera, et cetera. Ramp helps you be proactive and intentional with your spend before it happens. So let's take a look at how. Right now, I'm currently logged into our Ramp platform. This is my admin view where I can see all of the bells and whistles that Ramp has to offer. I'm going to start with our cards. Our cards is our core product that Ramp was built off of. So with these cards, I can actually issue spend, and I can come in here and say, okay, I want to issue David Wallace, let's say $5,000. Whoops. Let's say this is marketing budget, and this is for $5,000 on a monthly frequency. Or maybe I can say this is a one-time total. We're running some campaigns and we want this to be $5,000. Next piece here is the submission policy. So I can customize this submission policy and collect exactly what I need from David, saying I need a receipt, I need a memo. You can also customize this and say, I want you to code which project, which grant this was for, and put that accountability on David as soon as he swipes this card. Where Ramp really starts to separate ourselves from like the corporate cards or the credit cards that are in your wallet today are these controls down here. So yes, I'm issuing David $5,000 that he should be using for marketing, but I can actually say you can only use this for marketing. You can only use this for Facebook ads and Google ads. Whoops. And I can control the merchants that I want David. So if he goes to try to swipe this card at the bar down the street or at a casino or whatever the case may be, I can prevent that spend from happening before it happens. Maybe I don't want to be super specific on merchants. I can also do this by category. So I can do, hey, the only appropriate categories that you can spend on this card are marketing and advertising. We don't want restaurants and food and entertainment coming through this card because we have this marketing budget that we're being intentional with. The next piece here is you can get very specific on these cards and when and how they can be used. So I'm issuing these $5,000 to David. This should start on X date and it should lock on this specific date after these campaigns have been ran or whatever the case may be, after a specific business trip. You want this card to lock so they don't just have access to it until the end of time. I say all of this because you can get as specific and granular and controlled as you need it to be, or you can keep it very vague, very broad. Say, here, Brian, here's your card. As soon as you swipe it, we're going to collect the receipt. Start small, start simple. Maybe that's the best workflow so that you're not chasing people down for receipts and memos. And when Brian swipes his card, he gets a text and says, here, Danny, here's my receipt and here's my memo. And then his job's done and he can focus on his job rather than an expense report that's waiting for him at home.
And Danny, I would say this too, when we're just talking about the specific expenses, the specific customization of these credit cards and how each team member could use them or how the organization wants to use them. And then it can get deeper where we're talking about the expense. There's other dimensions we can look into. We can look into if you're like a nonprofit or a government contractor, or if you specifically want to focus on a specific product you sell and the expenses that relate to that, you can get that specific. And then Daniel will talk about shortly how it can integrate with your accounting software all the way to that specific type of function in your accounting software like QuickBooks or Xero or NetSuite, which could be very useful. Again, it's almost like that two things for two for one type deal here, where you get a lot of functionality, you have a lot of customization, and it can do this in, let's say, one movement, and that's very important for efficiency.
Exactly. So we've talked about issuing cards to folks, whether it's owners, whether it's employees, you name it, you've issued ramp cards to your team. As soon as these ramp cards, you start to use them and swipe them, you're going to see this in your accounting tab with all of the relevant information that these employees have submitted. I can see the receipt that they submitted. I can see the memo that they submitted. To Brian's point, maybe you want to task folks to select the specific grant or class or location. You can customize that and get that information up front rather than reacting to it and sorting through a bank feed with hundreds of transactions that you're trying to figure out who spent what where, and there's no easy way to do it. I can also see here the merchant. I can see the amount, the card holder. I can see the category, the receipt, the memo, all of this information at your fingertips so that you can quickly review it and then sync it into your accounting software so that Brian's team has access to this and can continue with the month-end process. On top of that, let's say you have some problematic employees where they're not getting you information. You're still chasing them down. Ramp's going to help with 90% of it, but we can't fix human error. But we do have a solution to help you get this information quicker, where I can say, hey, look, in my expenses, I want to look at everybody that's missing information. I can remind everybody in 2 clicks. I'm still waiting on your receipt. I'm still waiting on your memo. I'm still waiting for you to submit the appropriate grant that this was for. So in summary, you can issue cards, you can collect information, and you're pushing this information, accurate information, in real time into your accounting system.
Let me ask you, Danny, are you saying that when you hit a button, you can maybe send them an email or a text that they have to fulfill, maybe attach a receipt or just explain more about this transaction?
Exactly. A couple clicks, rather than chasing people down or having to mentally think about who still owes me what, Ramp's going to keep track of that for you.
It's like
So let's
reconciling before you reconcile.
exactly. It's getting your ducks in a row in real time and being the bad cop, if you will, in this scenario of chasing people down so your team doesn't have to do that. So the next piece here, I wanted to talk about bill pay. Bill pay is the other side of business expenses. You have your corporate cards and you're likely spending a lot of volume in cards, but there's also probably some checks and ACHs that you're sending to external vendors. Ramp offers a complimentary tool at no additional cost to have access to a very controlled way of sending AP or sending checks and sending ACHs. So with Ramp, you can import a bill to our system in a number of different ways. You can forward it to a unique email address. You can upload it from your computer. You can manually enter it. Once that information is entered into Ramp, you're going to see this in your draft section. From here, Ramp is going to pull out the relevant information. We're going to scrape this invoice, pick out who it's for. You can break down this invoice by line item, and then you'll also have an approval process. You can make this as complex or as simple as you need it to be. Ramp is a mold. You mold it to how it works for you, and Ramp's going to be able to do it. So let's say this invoice is entered, then I want Danny to approve it, and then I want Brian to approve it, and then I want Brad to be the last individual that's actually submitting this payment. You have that flexibility here. So you're controlling the spend, you're making sure the appropriate approvals are in place before this money goes out the door and making sure it's accurate.
Danny, I don't know how many times I talk to like a business owner and they're still using like pre-printed checks. I'm like, that's gone. That's gone. We want to, again, try to, the tools out there are just so available, like yours. And I mean, your tool is very available and it's very useful. And it also gets to the point where you can do many things with one thing you're doing. I'm gonna give you an example. You say that you can pay your vendors through the bill system here and pay them through ACH or check. On top of that, just so everybody knows, when you pay your vendor, it also asks if you want to have this vendor fill out a form called the W-9. And usually, if you recall, if you hear even the last four digits of our phone number, it's 1099, because a lot of times when you pay your vendors at the end of the year, you have to issue them a form called the 1099 if they're a certain type of vendor. Well, this takes that work for you. It does that work for you, because not only does it pay the bill, and for let's say the first time you pay or throughout the year you're paying this vendor, it can ask you if you want to ask to have that vendor fill out the W-9. You can see how important it's doing two things for one. It's paying your bill, it's doing what you need to do, but it's also asking that question, please fill out this W-9, so you don't have to think about doing that at the end of the year and scrambling at the end of the year to file your 1099s for the vendors you pay.
Exactly. How can we help automate? How can we help control? How can we help put time back in your day? To Brian's point, two birds, one stone. And then also, not to mention, a lot of folks struggle with double entry, where they might be writing a check on their desk and sending that, and the time it takes to mail a check and then enter that information into an accounting system and hoping that it's accurate. Ramp takes all that double entry out of play, because you enter it in Ramp scans it, it's going to be accurate, you pay that vendor, that information flows into your accounting system, so you don't have to double enter anything. It's automated. The next piece here that I want to talk through is actually, let me skip down here. I'm going to go to our app center. This is really powerful. So Ramp connects with a number of different applications: Gmail, Outlook, Amazon, Uber. You can connect your Ramp account with these accounts, and Ramp is going to auto fetch information. Let's take an example being a plane ticket. You don't have a physical receipt that you snap a picture of. That receipt is sent to your email. Ramp will scan your email, pull in that receipt, and automatically tie it to that transaction. No lift, no action. I love purchasing things on my Ramp card because I don't have to worry about submitting anything, because the system's working in the background. Next piece here, we talked about reimbursements. We want to get away from reimbursements as much as possible, because that just goes back to that expense management where you're waiting on folks to submit this information and trusting that they do it accurately. However, there's certain scenarios where this is the only available way, like mileage, for example. If you have folks that are driving, I can create a reimbursement here. I can say this is for mileage. I can put in my starting location, my end destination, make it a round trip, and then submit this. And it will go through the appropriate approvals before it's actually paid out to that employee. So I always stress this. me personally, as an end user of Ramp, I only ever use reimbursements for my mileage. Every other business expenses is going through my Ramp card. I don't need to give Ramp a personal loan of my money and then wait for them to pay me back. I'm using my Ramp card for all of my business expenses.
Danny, I'm going to provide you some insight that maybe you'll enjoy right now.
Yeah.
We've had customers use this and create a reimbursement policy based on per diem. So per
Yeah.
diem is like basically a set amount. Let's say like the IRS or the government says how much someone get paid for meals in a day or travel or hotel in a day. We've had customers use this to create a per diem. So it's a little bit more like, yeah, they still keep the receipts, but they might get just a general flat fee every day or every throughout a set of days based on their travel or etc. Just
Yeah.
added tool.
I'll show you one other thing here that's really helpful there is these expense policies and policy rules. Um, let me see here. Travel. It might not be available in my demo environment, but you can actually set up a per diem expense policy to say, hey, Danny, you can spend $100 on your ramp card a day for meals and food and travel while you're on the road. And then any dollar amount that's spent during that day on the ramp card will get flagged. It won't get declined, but it'll say, hey, Danny spent over his per diem amount. Do you want to look into this? Just giving you incredible insight into where your money's going. So the next piece here is insights. This is the end goal, right? We want to give your businesses information that you can use and digest to make strategic decisions. Because we have the cards, because we have the reimbursements, because we have the bill pay all under one roof, you have real-time accurate reporting that shows you where your money's going and comparing it to previous months and who's spending what where, who's increasing their spend, what departments, what categories are going up. So we can see our total spend here. We can see spending by person. We can see spending by vendor. We can see spending by department. We can customize this. We can say which locations are we spending the most on? Why is location A so much more profitable than location B? We have this information to make decisions. The other thing I want to show you goes back in line with Ramp's main goal, saving people time and saving people money. If you're thinking about the corporate cards or the credit cards that you have in your wallet, they're encouraging you to spend more money. They're saying, hey, chase these points bonuses, chase, spend more, and then earn these bonuses. Ramp's actually doing the opposite. We're saying, how can we help you spend less money? How can we put money back on your bottom line? How can we put money back in your pocket? And there's these savings insights up here. So I can quickly see, who does Ramp have a partnership with that if we were to use our Ramp card, we would save X amount of dollars. Also, if you have a number of different folks paying for a number of different things, Ramp's going to call that out. We're going to say, why is Danny and Brian both spending on a LinkedIn subscription? Cancel one, add a license, and put $1,400 back in your pocket. Hey, why are you both paying for this subscription? Hey, why are you paying for two things that do very similar things, like redundant SaaS products? Maybe we don't need both. Maybe we can accomplish more with less. And Ramp's going to call that out, and we call this our savings insights up here. Just encouraging you to spend less money.
And I wanted to say one thing, Danny. On top of that, though, your credit card, the credit card function, if someone uses the credit card with Ramp, they get cash back.
They absolutely do. So if I come in here, I can see my available cash back. And so with every purchase and every swipe, you're going to be earning cash back as well. A lot of folks are like, wait, there's a lot going on in Ramp. We get our cards, we get our bill pay, we get our employee reimbursements, and we get cash back. You do. It's fantastic. It's a win, right? A quadruple win. So you get cash back. You can redeem this directly towards your card balance. You can use this to upgrade to Ramp Plus if there's some additional features in our more advanced solutions that you require. Or you can redeem this for the fun stuff, for travel, for gift cards. I've seen a lot of folks where they're nervous about having this conversation at their business, and they're like, oh, well, Danny likes using his card, but it's a really a major pain for us. How do we get into this well automated machine? Maybe it's saying, hey, every dollar you spend on Ramp, we're going to give you an Amazon card for that. So a really creative way of making sure everybody's happy and automating your business expenses here, which is a great call out. I know you mentioned this, Brian, when it comes to the cashback, it being a system that you can use for free. I wanted to take a second to talk about applying for ramp and what it looks like to be eligible for ramp. This is where we're winning big time in the space. Ramp does not require a personal guarantor. How we do our underwriting is based off of your cash balance at your business. So you connect your bank accounts or you upload your bank statements during the application. Ramp says, okay, they have $100,000. We'll give them X amount. Oh, they have $30,000. We'll give them X amount. The eligibility requirement is having $25,000 of cash on hand, whether it's in a checking account, savings account, money market account, brokerage, investment. We're simply saying, how much cash does this business have? And that's how we determine your business limit. So I want to pause here. How are we doing on time? We got about 5 minutes left. So real quickly, I'm going to hop back into my screen here and talk about some exciting things when it comes to getting started with Ramp. So because Brian is a trusted partner with us, we're offering everybody on this call, if you decide to go with Ramp and sign up for Ramp, we're offering you a $500 sign up bonus. So not only is it a free platform, you're also going to get $500 once you sign up for Ramp. It's really, really, really important that you use this link here to sign up so that we know that you're one of our partners. On top of that, let's say you're just interested in learning a little bit more about Ramp. If you want to have a conversation about your business specifically and talk through specific use cases that Ramp may be able to help with, let's have a conversation. Use this link. Let's schedule a demo. Let's schedule a conversation, and we'll give you a $100 Amazon gift card. And then when you eventually sign up, you'll also get this $500 bonus. So kind of final piece here from me. We want to save you time. We want to save you money. We want to automate your expenses. We want to get you real-time accurate information so that you can make strategic moves that are advantageous for your business. I'm going to pause here. Brian, anything you want to add, or should we open it up to Q&A?
Yeah, Danny. No, I think in just saying regarding a business or an organization, how can you find ways to remove steps? And this is a way not only to remove steps, it integrates, and we'll talk about that shortly, how it integrates with the different accounting softwares, but it's a way to remove steps. It's a way to do many things on with one movement, with one action. So I feel like that's the thing to look at. It has so many functions underneath one house. It layers that information analysis on top and understands where you're spending your money. And it helps you make better, more informed decisions. And I think that's super powerful for any organization.
And so I put the links in the chat. I think the chat, you can find it up in the top right of your webinar here. There's 2 links in there. One's to sign up. If you're ready to get started, we'll reach out and offer you support as well. And then if you're interested in having a more thorough conversation about what Ramp does and dive into some of the specifics of these features, there's a calendar link in there. And then if you do sign up for that demo, we're going to give you a $100 Amazon gift card for your time.
Just giving away money, Ramp. Or you're just we're giving money away, Danny, here.
I know. It's going to be, you're not going to regret having the conversation, because whether it's a solution for you now, or at least it's something that you can start thinking about in the future, Ramp's not going anywhere. So we really just want to help where we can.
So I know we only have, I think, about 5 more minutes, or a little bit after that. We have some questions, Danny. Is that okay if I ask you some questions about some of the tool?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think you answered this, but teammate said, can you control what type of purchases are allowed for certain employees?
Exactly. So when I go back into this card solution here and I select issue, from here, when I issue this card to this individual, I can control where they're spending this money. Maybe for David, I want to get very, very specific on where he can spend money. He's our problem child. We love him, but he's a problem when it comes to spending. So I can select the specific controls for David. Maybe there's someone else on my team, and I'm thinking about Andy Bernard, and we're less worried about where he's going to spend. So I would just not make these selections as strict when it comes to Andy. So I have total flexibility on who's spending what. Brian is very strict, and we're going to control his money, and Andy, not so much. He has a little bit more of a leash in a way.
Thank you. I'll go check off that answer that you answered. Thank you for doing that. Everyone who wants to ask questions, there's a question area on the top right of your screen where you can ask questions if you have some for Danny. Danny, we have another question, and it asks, the question is, can this connect directly with QuickBooks Online?
Yep. By far and away our most common integration, for obvious reasons. QuickBooks has the largest market share. Ramp has a direct integration with QuickBooks. So everything I was showing you today was from a QuickBooks feed. And so I can see here the different QuickBooks classes, the projects, the locations. All of your customizations in QuickBooks are going to be available to code to within Ramp. Also, on top of that, this receipt that is submitted, this memo that is submitted, that also flows into QuickBooks. So your accounting team, your accounting department, they have this information. Maybe they operate more out of QuickBooks than they would out of Ramp. They would have that information. And then this information is also going to be in Ramp as well.
Thank you for that, Danny. Awesome to hear. They can connect to QuickBooks. And like you said, a lot of other solutions out there. We have a question regarding the policies. Like, can you explain how a policy works? Is it more just like a documentation, or is it more like it actually creates a rule in the way that someone will proceed using Ramp?
Really good question. Whoever asked that, thank you. I can tell you're thinking about where this could come into play. So we have a couple different things. We have expense requirements. What information do we need from this individual as soon as they swipe their card? I can customize this and say, okay, if the amount is over $75, then I need a receipt. Or I can edit this and say I also need a memo and I need a category. So if the expense type is a card transaction and the total amount is above 75, require all of this information. So I can customize this policy to say, when you swipe your card in this general expense requirements, this is the information I'm going to need to collect. You'll see here too, you can get pretty customized here. And when I'm issuing a card, I have the ability to select that submission policy. Or maybe I have an executive submission policy, and then I have a junior level staff policy. So I can select this and apply it to that specific individual and that specific card. The other piece to policies that is kind of an additional control, an additional flag, are these expense policies here, policy rules that I can set up and say, if there is spend above $1,000, I want to flag that. If there's a receipt that's submitted that's not itemized, I want to flag that, just so I can have the conversation or communicate with that individual. So this isn't going to halt that employee from spending, but it is going to flag it to your internal team and say, hey, alcohol was purchased on this transaction. Maybe you want to have a conversation. Maybe that wasn't allowed and you need to request repayment from that employee. You can do that from within the Ramp application. So in summary, that's a long-winded way to say you can set up expense requirements, what information you need, and then you can set up expense policies to flag specific transactions based off of the breakdown of that transaction. Hopefully that was helpful, Brian.
Super helpful. No, it's amazing. This is really cool. We had a person ask about the different ways that you can connect with QuickBooks. It says with running QuickBooks Online, can you connect all the functions of QuickBooks Online, including the credit card function and the bill payment function?
Yeah. So the credit card feature, if we look in here, this is going to be your credit card, your Ramp credit card. You're going to hit sync, and then this information is going to flow into your QuickBooks file. The bill pay side of the house, as soon as a bill exits the draft stage, and moves into approvals or for payment, that's going to create an open bill in QuickBooks. So you don't have to do that. And then once that bill is paid, it's also going to reconcile in QuickBooks showing that bill was paid. So both of those integrate.
Okay, no, this is really good. We have last question. Someone said this is a free platform. Is there customer service that help with someone who uses the free platform?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a number of onboarding resources. We have weekly webinars that you can join us for. We have onboarding group sessions. Think of it like an orientation of other businesses that are joining Ramp and need to ask questions about setting up their solution. We have a ticketing support. We have a phone number that you can call. We have email, and then we have in-system chat as well. The only way Ramp's successful is if you're successful. So we have a number of different resources and support outlets for you to leverage. And we understand that each business is different. Some people are going to love sitting through a webinar. Others are going to want to watch YouTube channels and figure it out on their own. Some people are going to want to join an onboarding class. Others are going to take Ramp Academy and learn on their own. And then some people want to pick up a phone and talk to people. Other people want to log a ticket and then come back to it later. So it's totally up to you on your preferences there.
Well, Danny, this is excellent. We know it's a busy for everybody today. This was an excellent tool. We were really happy that you could give us your time today and present about it. We'll go ahead and provide some information to our attendees about the ramp and then contact information for Danny. Again, thank you for your time today. Danny, do you have any more items to speak about for closing here?
I would say worst case scenario, let's hop on a call and talk about your business. Let's schedule a demo for you where we can talk specifically about how we can help businesses like you. Worst case scenario, you come away with $100 and you know what else is out there. So really excited for this opportunity. Really excited for the questions that came through today. Ramp can be as simple as you need it to be, or as controlled and complex as you need it to be. So let's crawl, walk, run, and start saving time and money.
Awesome, Danny. All right, we're going to conclude. Again, thank you everybody for attending, and we'll communicate later about the presentation and with Danny's contact information.
Awesome. Talk soon, everyone. Hopefully I see you on my calendar. Take care.